is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Good morning, Ira. How are you doing, my friend?
I am good, and I'm here to tell you from your crosstalk before, Zips was actually a national chain because I had actually been to one in New York, and it was the first place where the whole point of it was you get your ice cream and you put on as many and as much toppings as you want. It might have been the stickiest place in America because unlike now when they put the toppings on for you or there was a little topping bar at yogurt places, this basically was gluttony. You would get a small ice cream and fill it with 9 pounds of stuff on top and keep going up. And literally, it was like flypaper. You would put your hand down and you would never get your hand back up.
Loved it. I would load my baseball hat up with chocolate and chocolate sprinkles, and it was so good, man. I loved it. I miss Zips. So Zips was a national. I had no idea.
It was because I actually went to one in New York in my neighborhood where I grew up, and that was the whole big thing that you could pay very little for ice cream and get a lot of extra stuff.
Yeah, man. Zips was so awesome. Nice job by you. There you go. All right. Bam and the boys had a little access to the meteors yesterday, and already playing the underdog role.
Well, you know what, Big O? I think their thought is this. Yes, they lost P.J. Tucker, who was a very core piece to what they did. But they also had a team that was one game within the finals, that had Kyle Lowry clearly not at his best self, that had Tyler Hero injured in the playoffs. And they're like, wait a minute. We brought back our entire core minus a 37-year-old player. We have enough young players in Tyler Hero and Gabe Vincent and Bam Adebayo and players who can still grow to be better, and yet we're being written off. And they're not. Every national story we read from Zach Lowe and ESPN and other places, there seems to be a clear top four in the East of Boston, Milwaukee, Philadelphia, and Miami in some order, and you can sort out the order you want there. So, yeah, you know what? Oh, it's typical of what happens for a team like this. You play the underdog card. They're not an underdog because they're still seen as one of the four best teams in the Eastern Conference until we see how it shakes out in Brooklyn. And that goes back to what you and I have talked about for months, when I was living in abject fear of the Nets with Durant and Irving, and you kept calling me and telling me I was an idiot, a moron, whatever word you wanted to use.
You're panicking is what you're
Okay, so let me ask you this. We know who Boston is right now. They've made most of their moves. They got stronger. They added depth. That's obvious. We know Philadelphia, they were able to bring a little more support in with Harden taking less money. We know where Milwaukee is as strong as ever. They've taken care of their roster. We know who the Heat are. Right now, if the Nets bring back Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving with the team that they have, your thoughts, do they move into that top four? Do they move into a top two? I think that's the great unknown.
Yeah, no, I think they're somewhere in the top four because
in place of who, Big O?
It's Miami they're fighting with.
Okay.
Right there. They're fighting with Miami.
About home court advantage in the first round.
Yeah, because I think Miami is somewhere in the top 4 or 5 right now where they're at. Because we're looking at, let's see, Boston, Philly, Milwaukee, and then I think Miami and Brooklyn.
Right, depending on who goes where. But again, it's a case of who blinks first. Did the Nets blink first? Take less
than Kyrie is not very durable.
You just don't know. Or maybe Brooklyn's going to be sort of like what the Heat are saying is underdogs. We're sick of these questions. We're going to come back and show you that we were a Durant 3-point shot away from going to the East Finals 2 years ago, that we still have a team and we just had all these issues. There's no more vaccine requirement in New York. Kyrie can play all the games. So I think what it's sort of, the Heat still has their move to make. The Nets still have their moves to make. Milwaukee's done. Boston's done. Philly's done. They're maxed out. So I think it's just a matter of, this is really when the ball goes from Eric Spoelstra's court to Pat Riley's court. Can you give us +1? Can you give us something more? And that's what we're all waiting on. And the thing is, and I know you speak to Anthony Chang on his weekly reports, bi-weekly reports, is you don't want to put your chips into play and then realize you could have done something better. Right. In other words, my Ask Ira tomorrow is someone asked me about Harrison Barnes, a nice player, has no future in Sacramento. with Keegan Murray being there, they're obviously going in a different direction. They already have Sabonis at power forward. They already have Rashawn Holmes at center. But if you put your Duncan Robinson $16 million matching salary into play there, you're out of Durant. You're out of Donovan Mitchell. So again, you and I will talk on our Acura Pembroke Pines reports through August on this. You've got to play this liar's poker. Do you believe you can get more from what you have? Do you believe the other teams actually will trade? That's where we are. There hasn't been a Donovan Mitchell trade yet. There hasn't been a Durant trade yet. There hasn't been a Miles Turner trade yet. There hasn't been a John Collins trade yet. So if you'd put Harrison Barnes as 5th on that list, do you want to accept your 5th choice now?
No,
or are you willing to be patient?
No. We've been talking about this on the show the entire time. We've told everybody this. It's all about Durant. Then the domino goes to Donovan.
Mitchell.
Then it goes to the other guys. And I don't know what the hell the order is, whether it's Miles, whether it's Collins, whether it's Harrison. I don't really care, because by the time you get to that point, we're not really talking championship. And that's why with Durant, you legitimately have a shot at a championship, because not only will you add Durant, you know how it is. There's another veteran or two out there that will take the vet minimum, right, and will round out the roster.
And you manipulate your roster from there. The bottom line is this: if you're just sending out Duncan Robinson and picks and filler, and you get, I don't know if you can, by the way, and you get a Turner, a Collins, or a Barnes, you're better. You've made yourself better than where you stood at the beginning of July. You've taken a step forward. You have to see that other move. If there's no other move, hey, maybe Tyler Hero comes back, plays defense, is better, and as a starter augments that starting lineup. The one thing I wrote about today at the Sun Sentinel, and I believe this, and you referenced this with our media session yesterday, I think we're all sleeping on Victor Oladipo. I'm not saying he's going to be an all-star again, Big O, but I guarantee you Victor Oladipo will be better than he was for the Heat 2 seasons ago when he played those 5 games when he came back. I'm guaranteeing you he'll be better than he was for the Heat in his 2-month comeback this year. Victor Oladipo could be a difference maker. Victor Oladipo doesn't have to be an all-star. But if he's starting quality, I was talking to Anthony Chang about this the other day. Right now we're listing Max Strus as the starter, as the other wing in the backcourt. But might it be Tyler Hero, and might it be Victor Oladipo? And we have to wait while we see, because this guy is a 2-time All-Star, is a former All-NBA selection who only injury has beaten him down. This league is replete with players who have come back from injury stronger than ever. We saw Klay Thompson start to make that move during the Warriors playoff drive. So I think the Heat might have a wild card in Victor Oladipo that none of the other contenders in the East have, that sort of swing type of player.
By the way, Craig Zinn's Acura Pembroke Pines is celebrating their 14th anniversary in 12 years in a row. They've been the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. So get on down there if you're looking for a large selection of brand new and certified pre-owned vehicles. The 2023 Integra is in. $369 a month is that lease feature. So get on down to 15601 Pines Boulevard, just off of I-75 in Pines. Ira, when we talk about this whole Durant situation, here's where now we're talking about Sean's not impressed with the offers.
Sure.
We've talked about this. There really aren't a lot of teams that can actually trade for Durant, because he's not going to go to a crappy team. So there's only a couple of elite teams that can say we're one Durant away from a title and we can trade for him. We have the cap space and we have the arsenal for it. So it's only a couple teams.
Except that I like what the point Brian Windhorst made is Kevin Durant wants to go to a ready-made contender. That's all he does. He went to a ready-made contender with Golden State, ready-made contender with Brooklyn. But if you have to remove one of your contention pieces, it's not the attractive landing spot he sees. In other words, Durant sees a Miami with a Lowry, with a Butler, with a Bam. He goes in there, boom, they're as good as anyone in the East. But what if he goes in there without Bam? Are they still the same team? Do they still have this same defensive disposition? That's the difference, is all these places that Durant might go, they're going to lose part B. Look at Phoenix, still a target, we're at least told. Well, yes, Ayton is coming back, but he's not happy where he is. But you know what? You give up a Mikal Bridges, you give up a Cam Johnson. It's not the same Phoenix Suns team as the one that went to the finals.
Yeah, but the thing is, they're not giving up Bam in this. They're playing hardball. They want to give up Tyler and Duncan and a slew of picks. is what they want to give up. They don't want to give up Bam, so he will end up playing with Bam. But here's my point with all of this. The talk now is that Sean hasn't been impressed with the deals on the table. Obviously, the Rudy Gobert thing just blew everything out of the water for both Utah and for Brooklyn on their 2 stars that they're trying to move. Here's my thing. Now they're saying, well, maybe they want to slow walk this to talk them to come back and play. Oh, sure. And then I saw McMenamin throw that out there that, there's talk around the league that really what it's about is Durant trying to get rid of Kyrie Irving. So what do you believe is really the truth here? Is Sean trying to slow walk this? And do you believe they can bring Durant back? Has that ship sailed? Will they have to deal Durant by training camp? Or do you think Brooklyn is trying to still keep this thing together because that might be their best option?
Well, I'll let you and Sean Stanley do some research between my appearance on a Monday Acura Pembroke Pines report, and then when I have to come back a little early next week on Wednesday, and you can research all this. Find me one time since this whole thing started when Kevin Durant publicly has said one good thing about the Nets. When he publicly has come out and said anything about the Nets. It's crazy. He's a member of a team. He's a very, very, very public figure that whether it's TMZ finding him outside of a restaurant in LA or one of his inside guys getting a comment, Kevin Durant has not said a good thing or anything about the Brooklyn Nets since they were eliminated by the Boston Celtics in the first round of the playoffs. Yeah. So again, think about the juxtaposition, Big O. This week I speak to Max Strus at the Heat youth camp. He's effusive. We'll be better. We have a chance. He's all in on the Heat. We speak to Victor Oladipo and Bam Adebayo yesterday at Rolling Loud at the Heat's youth clinic at the Junior Heat. Both of them are saying, don't count us out. We have pride in our team. We wear this name on our chest of Miami Heat, and this is a team we think something about. We have heard absolutely nothing from Kevin Durant in that regard, and that tells you all you need to know. Even Kyrie has waffled. Even Kyrie has been, well, I never said I wanted to trade. I would take an extension. Of course he would. I would have preferred a redone contract instead of the 1 year, but he sort of, through his people, walked it back. It's crazy. All these players, we saw Steph Curry on the ESPYs talking about his team, the Golden State Warriors. When you have no pride in where you are, all you do is you pump up, privately the Big O show. We've got something special going on here with Acura Pembroke Pines and all my sponsors. You talk with pride of your work. Yeah. Durant has it. What a crappy thing for Joe Tsai, the owner of the Nets, that here he brought this guy back, paid him for a full year when he had his Achilles injury, gave him everything he wanted, got him Kyrie Irving when he wanted him, absolutely kowtowed to him, and nothing. And crickets from this guy. And I can see, while Sean Mark is saying all the right things, sort of F him. If you don't want to be here, imagine the Heat and where Pat Riley and Andy Ellisberg would be if a Heat player badmouthed the franchise after they gave him a Jimmy Butler type deal, a Kyle Lowry type deal, a Duncan Robinson type deal. So my whole thought on all of this is this. Kevin Durant has shown no inclination that he gives a rat's butt about what happens next for the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah, no, that's a great point because he has been absolutely quiet. And that's the other thing that's kind of been, it's left us all hanging out to dry because he doesn't put any clarity on anything whatsoever. The demand,
it's all a
wanting
game.
to get out, not wanting to play or not wanting to play with Kyrie, where he really wants to play.
It's all a game. It's always been a game. It's been, I'm going to entertain people in the Hamptons and you make me your best offer. And then I'm going to go to Brooklyn and say, but we still need this and I want that. And it's, look, greatness can do that. LeBron has done that over his career. Kobe ruled the Lakers franchise and got mostly what he wanted, except when he was trying to get his trade to Chicago. So greatness in the NBA can manipulate. But this whole thing, I need to hear Kevin Durant's voice. I need you and Sean to get on this and get me some audio of Kevin Durant. What the hell does he think? He's holding a franchise hostage that franchise...
No. He's holding the NBA hostage because Donovan Mitchell's deal will not happen until Kevin Durant.
Or then Collins or Turner.
Or Miles Turner, or even if Atlanta really wants to move John Collins, that won't happen. And that was going to be my follow-up question to all of this, Ira. Is there a timetable here? Is there a point where the rest of the NBA has to say, we can't keep waiting for Sean Marks and Kevin Durant to make their deal? We've got to move forward, and we've got to make another deal for ourselves and say, okay, c'est la vie. That's it. It's over. I know that Durant is the move. Is there some kind of a timetable, or will the Heat slow walk this thing all the way to the end because they think eventually the Nets will have to cave in?
To go to your previous point, Kevin Durant doesn't owe as much to the NBA because they're not the actual person who gave him $250 million in salary. Right. So I could see that that's a greater problem. I would say no, there's no end game to this until camp starts because there doesn't have to be. Look, you and I love the offseason. You and I would love nothing more than to sit here in our Acura Pembroke Pines report and saying, Ira, we have the Heat roster for next season. We're going to go week by week, position by position, and analyze this and be done. That's convenient, but it doesn't have to be that way. And the league has been put on hold by LeBron James, by Kawhi Leonard, not to this degree, but they've been put on hold before. So the league will just have to deal with it again. In the NBA, most teams and executives and front offices love to shut down for August. Take your time. We are an 11-month schedule. It's going to start. Players come back for the start of camp in September. We want our time. That won't be the case this year. But it's like what you're hearing about the Knicks. The Knicks could close the Donovan Mitchell deal at any point if they give up 7 or 8 first-round picks. But they're bidding against no one except what happened in the Gobert deal. So they're slow playing that also. So I think what you're seeing is, just like the NFL, it's a 12-month cycle. You don't know what's going to happen. You sign a Deshaun Watson, and then you realize you need a Rosen or someone like that at the last minute to come in your camp. That's what all sports are now. But Big O, could you imagine the uproar, even in your market, if the Heat go out and they make a Harrison Barnes deal or a Collins or a Miles Turner deal, and then a Windhorst or a Zach Lowe or a Woj say that the Nets, because the stuff gets manipulated, were willing to make a deal with the Heat if the Heat only would have thrown in Max Strus. And then you would have been going, oh, my God, Ira, they were that close and they wouldn't be patient. So, right. Yeah, you got to be patient. And you know what the beauty of this is? Andy Ellisberg has a cell phone. Pat Riley has a cell phone. I've also found out as a Sun Sentinel exclusive, they have the international plan. So they can reach Pat in Italy. They can reach Andy Ellisberg in Cabo or whatever it is and get a deal done. It's a different world. This isn't the old days when you'd have to send the fax. Or you'd have to hand deliver the offer sheet and hand it to someone when the clock starts. You can do your business on a 24/7 cycle. I think Pat Riley will not wind up getting angry if he's awoken at 2 a.m. on the Isle of Capri because he's going to get Kevin Durant. So we wait because you have to wait because there's not a single game, even an exhibition being played until the start of October.
All right, let me play a fun hypothetical.
Okay.
That may not even end up happening, but it may happen. If you make the Durant move, there's a good chance you won't have to deal with this issue, or maybe will it be an issue? But if you don't make the Durant move or the Donovan Mitchell move, you might have this issue. You tell me if it's going to be an issue. Tyler Hero wants to elevate himself from 6-man to starter. Riley says, you got to go out there and earn it, right? In comes Victor Oladipo, a fireball of hell that is frustrated from the last few years of just the unfair world of injuries and setbacks, and the poor man has gone through hell and back. He now is finally healthy, and he wants to unleash the Kraken. In Victor Oladipo's explosion of trying to release the Kraken, could that be something that stumps the growth of Tyler Hero and could restrict him from making that move from 6-man to being starter because the veteran Oladipo, the proven guy, is back?
I think this is the case where a lot of families and parents will say one thing and mean another, but you can have a favorite son here. And Tyler Hero can be your favorite son for 2 reasons. Either by the eve of the regular season, you have to sign him to that 5-year extension, then he's yours. He's your kid forever. Or you playing out the season like the Suns with DeAndre Ayton, deciding whether he's worth that money down the road. Tyler Hero is 23. Victor Oladipo was 30. Your future is Tyler Hero. Victor Oladipo can give you moments. Now, there might be a time in the playoffs when Tyler is getting torched defensively. That's going to be in April, May, and June. And you might have to say, hey, Tyler, got to take a step back. We need Vic to stop Kyrie. He's going crazy on you. We can't help it. But in the moment, you still are prioritizing Tyler Hero as your favorite son for so many reasons, Big O.
Even if people is playing like his old self.
Then you tell him, congratulations. Last year, we got Tyler Hero, the sixth-man award. This year, we're going to get it for you. And you, Victor Oladipo, are an impending free agent with a player option next summer. We will set you up as best possible for your own free agency, and it might be cast more in that role. Because if we start you, Jimmy's still going to get his. Bam is still going to get his. Kyle's still going to get all the assists. But if we play you off the bench, Tyler Hero came within 2 percentage points of Jimmy Butler from leading the Heat in scoring average. We've created this role already, Victor Oladipo. Now it's your turn. But favorite son, Tyler Hero, until traded, is part of the future of the Heat. You've spoken to me about this for months on our Acura Pembroke Pines report, how the Heat are somewhat set up for the future also with Adebayo and Tyler Hero. So yes, he becomes the favorite son without you actually saying publicly he's the favorite son.
All right, good stuff there. What are you working on in the South Florida Sun Sentinel this weekend so Heat fans can check it out?
Working on my Sunday column, and I touched on something. As for as much as the question with the Heat is who's the starting power forward for the Heat, I went through the list of Eastern Conference power forwards. There are very few true power forwards in the East. The West has all the big muscle guys and Anthony Davis and Zion Williamson. And so my point being as I write this, beyond Giannis in the Eastern Conference and maybe a couple of other players, you don't need a starting power forward. You just need your best possible option. And Caleb Martin can guard most of what is masquerading now as a power forward in the Eastern Conference. So I went step by step and said the Heat might have a lot of concerns, but I think the who is the starting power forward is overstated because you know what? In this league, there's not a lot of true power forwards left. And even a guy like John Collins tends to roam to the perimeter and shoot his pointers anyway. So you know what? If I'm listing sort of like Omar Kelly's been with the Dolphins, their big issues going into camp, who's the starting power forward? I don't think is that big. That'll be posted online tomorrow at sunsentinel.com. And in your Sunday, still a bargain with all the coupons, Sunday Sun Sentinel in print.
Standing next to Caleb in Vegas, man, the world of the power forward has completely changed, man.
So you're seeing so many teams, guys hey, Kyle Kuzma is the Wizards starting power forward at the moment. He's not a power forward.
Yeah, but he carries around a power sweater, so that kind of prepares him.
All right,
you know what I mean? You know, he does. I mean, you go ahead and carry a 150-pound sweater. I bet you'll be a big, strong guy after that. After a while, dragging that thing around.
There you go. There's just no true power forwards for the most part in the East. It's not the West. You can get by. It's not even Christian Wood being power forward for the Dallas Mavericks. So I think in the East, where you play 50 of your games and the first 3 rounds of your playoffs, I think you'll be fine.
By the way, somebody needs to superimpose Ira with Kuzma's sweater on a picture there. We got to put that out there. That would be good. Ira in Kuzma's sweater.
I'll just wear my sweat vest for now and be fine on my 100-mile run.
Follow him on Twitter at Ira Pete, and please subscribe to the South Florida Sun Sentinel. Support all our terrific journalists like Ira who cover all our local sports. Ira, as always, thank you, my friend. Have a fantastic weekend.
Back Monday, selling more Heat basketball and more Acuras. Thank you, Big O.
Yes, sir. That's right. Always. That is Ira Winderman.